So hi, my name is Cujo, and I'm going to talk about a game called Hollowbody that I recently finished playing. I want to give more reviews on games instead of giving you hours and hours of a playthrough, and hopefully give you information enough on it to decide whether or not you want to buy it for yourself. But this game is called Hollowbody. It is a Silent 2-esque type of survival horror game. It has elements of cyberpunk in it, and it is set in Britain. I seen a video recommended to me by a guy named Ragnarok's, and I was completely roped into getting this game. I got it on release, and I have pretty much played through the whole thing. From watching that video, I actually had the feeling that this game was longer than it actually is. On average, Google says that this game takes around 4 to 6 hours to complete. So it is actually quite short for a $17 game. To me, I think that this would be worth buying on a sale, but for $17 and only get around 4 to 6 hours of content is kind of lackluster, especially when looking at a lot of the content of the game being walking around, which I do want to defend at the same time. I just want to point these things out because I think it would be valuable for a person that's looking to get into Hollowbody. In the video that Ragnarok's made on Hollowbody, he very much sang this game's praises. Might know the developer personally, because I think in the video he mentions he gets early access to the game, and so half knowingly I did get into the game knowing that it was probably advertised through him and just had a short advertisement run that was just people praising this game. And it is good. It's a really great game. I think in terms of ambience and capturing that old school Silent Hill 2 PS2 survival horror feel, this game is incredible. You should just look at this hallway and watch me walk down this hallway. It just looks really good. So yeah, I think this game nails ambience, and honestly, I feel like the combat is kind of floaty, is how I would put it, or doesn't really have much of an impact, but the combat is functional, and the combat is very much a survival horror PS2 combat. But for some reason, when I ended the game, I ended it with a ton of health sprays, and I used the bullets as often as I could. I wanted to see how much I could actually run out of a resource, and there was a couple times where I was forced to have to use the melee weapons inside a Hollowbody, but the amount that I got fed repair sprays, which is the healing spray in the game, there was so much. There were so many sprays. I do want to mention that this game was developed by one person, the head of Headwear Games, over the span of 3 years, and the game has voice acting.
Meek, my guy pulled through. He's got the pass.
It has events that happen when you pick up items or go into rooms. It has a whole story that isn't just explained to death to you. It's supposed to be interpretational, and I could just make a video trying to dig into the lore, but I honestly don't understand it at the time of filming this 100% myself, and I think that's the point. The point is to play through it multiple times and to try to decipher what the story of the game itself is, because it is a psychological horror. I thought it was going to be very much in alignment with Silent Hill 2 or any Silent Hill game, where it's oh, you're actually not in a messed up town and you're in limbo. And this game, I think, might kind of have that kind of symbolism, but it's not straightforward copy and paste Silent Hill. It has its own world and its own rules that it's trying to feed to the player. There was a couple puzzles also in Hollowbody that I did enjoy. I liked that the puzzles needed you somewhat to pay attention to the story. Notably, there is a puzzle in the apartment complex that me and my girlfriend sat and figured out together, because I was struggling to figure out what the puzzle exactly meant. And then my girlfriend, of course, had to run away because she hates horror. She's terrified of horror stuff. But there's only, I think, 2 or 3 puzzles in the entirety of this game. My playtime sitting on Steam right now is 6.1 hours. So you just need to be mindful of going into this game that it isn't supposed to be a huge playthrough or something like a more traditional survival horror where it's around 20 hours or so. And looking at the description page for Hollowbody on the Steam store page, it says that it is a tech noir survival horror short story. So that makes complete sense. The game does feel kind of finicky in the way that a lot of Silent Hill games feel, where you go to stomp on an enemy and it just feels kind of like I'm just going to spam the button and pray that I kill the thing. And my personal favorite sequence in the game is there's a sewer sequence that you can go through, and I think that's utilizes some of the best elements of psychological horror in terms of environment building, in terms of ambient music, atmospheric storytelling, as well as messing with your head. Like, I feel like that's a big element of psychological horror that can be looked over, and it uses the silence and a lot of downtime to try to play tricks on your head. Overall, I think if you're a fan of a one-person developer, taking an idea like being faithful to Silent Hill 2, that style of PS2 horror from like the early 2000s, late 90s, for someone to dedicate 3 years to trying to make a product like that, if you want to support them, I totally think you should pay the $17. As a product itself, I don't think it's worth $17. A big reason for that is I think a lot of the areas can feel unfinished. And like, I remember there being specific times in the outdoor areas where there would be obstacles placed, but I could just walk around the obstacles and kind of go out of bounds somewhat of like, I'm guessing what is supposed to be the play area, and just subvert like camera angles and stuff, just go around obstacles. Like, a lot of stuff set out can sometimes just be like trying to say, hey, like, you can't go this way, and then you just like go around it and go anyway. But maybe that's intentional. It feels oddly empty though when you do that, and not in a spooky way. Like, it feels empty as a game when that happens. The apartments in the beginning of the game are also a really well designed storytelling type of way to go through a game, and I think if the game is priced from $5 to $10, I think that would be really fair. Maybe even 12 or 13. So if it goes on sale for that at any point, I definitely recommend Hollowbody. You can get a few endings in the game, and it has additional content for New Game Plus, and it has a cheeky ending, a slight nod to Silent Hill 2. If those of you know, you'll know. Since the release of Hollowbody 2, the dev of Hollowbody is patching it nearly every day. I believe he's patched it mostly every day since it released, for like that week that it released, and I completed it in that time. Hopefully he continues to release patches for it. There was some different bugs and stuff for the game, but he's done a really good job at patching that up as one dev, so kudos to this guy. I hope Hollowbody does find the full range of its audience and continues to bring out what makes horror good, because this, in terms of building atmosphere, this game was really phenomenal. For one person to do this, music, coding, design, and to hire voice actors is incredible, and I'm excited to see what else we can get from Headwear Games. So anyway, thank you for taking the time to watch this. I hope this either put Hollowbody on your map or gave you enough information to buy it or not. I love you, and goodbye now.